Welcome to another story made by Oracle 1. Eyes in the Mirror. On a rain-dark road winding through the outskirts of the city, Mara Mitchell gripped the steering wheel of her aging sedan a little tighter. It was just past midnight, and the storm's fury had reduced the outside world to an indistinct blur of shadows and water. Her headlights cast pale yellow cones into the thick, relentless downpour, illuminating sporadic puddles and the glistening wet pavement. The rhythmic sweep of the windshield wipers kept beat with her anxious heartbeat. Mara wasn't just driving home. She was fleeing. The streetlights had begun to grow sparse behind the last cluster of worn houses, swallowed by the dense trees that hemmed the narrow, twisting road. Her office day had stretched into a night of overtime, and now she was alone, except for the strange sensation that someone was watching her. It began almost imperceptibly, a flicker at the edge of her vision, and then more insistent, eyes peering through the rearview mirror. But when Mara glanced, she found an empty expanse of asphalt stretching endlessly behind her, devoid of cars or any living creature. No headlights glowed in the distance. No shadow followed her behind. Yet, every time Mara stole a glance toward the mirror, she caught the unmistakable reflection of a pair of eyes. They were dark, unblinking, hungry, fixating on her with a quiet menace that sent chills crawling down her spine. She blinked hard, willing herself to focus. She reached back with a trembling hand and adjusted the mirror, but the image persisted. The eyes were not attached to any face she could see. They floated there unnervingly, as if suspended in the wet glass. Panicked logic wrestled with primal fear in her mind. Maybe it was just fatigue or a trick of the storm, a reflection from some external source. Could her mind be playing cruel games after a long, stressful day? Mara slowed down cautiously, pulling off onto the shoulder of the slippery road. Her car's interior light bathed her pale face red and white, revealing dark circles beneath her eyes and sweat beading her temple. She shook her head. It had to be a hallucination, or worse, a warning of something more sinister. Gripping the wheel again, she stared as the rain tapped an endless Morse code on the roof of the car. The eyes in the mirror remained, not fading even as she stepped out into the damp night for a closer look. She walked to the back of the car, her shoes squelching in the mud. The road behind her stretched empty, blurred by the curtain of rain. There was no one, no footprints, no lights, no sound except the relentless pounding of the rain. The cold air bit into her wet skin, and a shiver racked her body. Back inside the car, she checked the rear seats, scanning for any hidden figure, but there was nothing. The seats were empty, the windows fogged slightly with the warmth of her breath. Yet, the mirror kept teasing her. At every glance, those eyes stared back, like a predator waiting patiently for the right moment. Mara's mind spiraled. She thought of news stories about stalkers, serial attackers, urban legends pleading for attention. No calls for help had been made, no messages threatening her life. Yet the eyes felt personal, intimate, like they knew her. Her gloved hands tightened on the steering wheel. The vision felt less like a hallucination and more like an unspeakable tether pulling her toward an unknown fate. She remembered the package she had taken from the front desk earlier that day. It was unmarked, delivered while she was busy, and she'd carried it into her office without thinking. She ripped open the taped corners, revealing a brittle manila envelope. Inside was a single Polaroid photo, yellowed with age. A picture of a woman, her eyes wide and frightened, staring directly into the camera. She was looking out of her rearview mirror. The similarity was eerie. On the back was a note, scrawled hastily in jagged handwriting. "See what I see." Her breath caught. Who had sent this? Was it a warning? A threat? Hours earlier, Mara had shrugged off the image as a relic from a cold case file. But now, with the storm pressing outside and her reflection haunted by unknown eyes, the line between reality and nightmare blurred to a whisper. She tried to pull herself together, telling herself it was just someone playing games, until her phone buzzed sharply on the passenger seat. The screen glowed with an incoming call from an unknown number. Hesitating, she tapped the screen and answered. A voice, distorted and low, breathed raggedly through the speaker. "Look behind you," it rasped before the call abruptly ended. Mara bolted upright, heart hammering so loud she feared it might shatter the fragile glass windows. Her eyes darted immediately to the rearview mirror. This time, the shadow had taken shape. In the dim reflection, she saw a figure. A silhouette hooded and hunched. A face obscured but unmistakably present. Not in the backseat, but in the mirror's world, an impossible realm that reflected neither the road behind nor her interior. The figure stepped closer, its eyes gleaming with cold calculation. Mara swerved the wheel in terror, the car fishtailing as rain made the asphalt treacherous. The figure in the mirror reached a hand up, fingertips brushing the glass from the other side. She slammed on the brakes, coming to a shuddering halt. Her breath hitched. The image vanished. The mirror was blank, reflecting only the empty rear of the car once more. Was it really there, or just an elaborate trick of her mind? The chill stayed rooted deep inside her. Mara realized her options were limited. Driving blindly on a storm-lashed road in near-pitch darkness invited danger. But staying meant waiting for something worse. She reached slowly for the flashlight in the glove box, flicking it on to cut through the gloom. Gripping the beam firm, she exited the car, eyes darting nervously into the wet night. Behind her, the puddles reflected the mute glint of streetlights, but no sign of movement or shadow. Even the trees were still, their branches bowed under the weight of rain. A noise, soft, almost imperceptible, whispered from the woods lining the roadside. Like a breath on her neck, Mara spun around, the flashlight beam slicing through mist and rain, but no one answered her unvoiced question. She hurried back inside, locking the doors and starting the engine reluctantly. The strange eyes in the mirror seemed less like a physical presence and more like a taunt, a puzzle snarled tight in threads of dread. She sped forward, the storm now a mere backdrop to the storm inside her mind. It wasn't just the package, the call, or the vision. It was a thread connecting them all, a sinister game only she played. Driving faster, reaching for some sign of help, Mara's phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. She silenced it without hesitation. Instinct urged her to reach the city, the border to safety, but the miles stretched endlessly, twisting roads marked only by flashing neon signs she barely recognized. As she drove, the rain finally began to wane, leaving behind a heavy mist that coated the windshield in a ghostly veil. She let the car coast, eyes fixed on the rearview mirror. For a time, only the faint, blurred lines of her own face looked back. But as the mist thickened and the way ahead blurred, the eyes re-emerged slowly, materializing from the murk. Larger now, more defined, watching, waiting, anchored there like they had been throughout her journey. She blinked hard. The mirror was not an ordinary reflective surface. It was a window into something else. A world layered beneath the reality Mara knew. A dimension where unseen presences lurked, where watchers waited patiently for their prey. Suddenly, Mara remembered the old folktale her grandmother had told her as a child. The tale of mirrors acting as gateways between worlds. Portals through which souls trapped by unfinished business could seek vengeance or release. She shuddered at the thought, wondering if her rearview mirror had become such a doorway tonight. The car's engine sputtered weakly and died, the headlights dimming to black. She was stranded, enveloped in silence and darkness, save for the reflection. The eyes in the mirror flared bright, twin stars of malevolence cutting through the black glass. Then the figure appeared one last time, closer than ever before. Mara felt the chill sweep through her like ice water flooding veins. Time seemed to halt. She couldn't move or scream or even blink. The figure raised a hand, longer and thinner than a human's, its fingertips stretching like claws toward her. The cold drained from her body, replacing warmth with the inevitable chill of finality. Suddenly, the headlights flared back to life. The rain ceased as if the storm itself had given up, and the world outside reawakened with sounds of crickets and distant traffic. The sinister reflection disappeared, replaced by Mara's own terrified face staring back at her from the rearview mirror. Breathing heavily, she reached to restart the engine. The car coughed and roared back to life. She accelerated, determined to never look back again. Hours later, the amber glow of street lamps bathed the familiar streets of the city. Mara pulled into her driveway, shaking and soaked but alive. She turned off the ignition, and the mirror reflected her own eyes, wide, haunted, and forever changed. Looking back one last time, she whispered, "I see you." The darkness behind the mirror did not answer. For more stories, like and subscribe.